Aric Almirola, man, he's doing it again. He is making the Owners' Championship relevant, and I want to publicly thank him for that because I have always maintained that I think the Owners' Championship is very relevant, and we should talk about it about as much as Formula One fans talk about the Constructors' Championship because that championship is very real, and it matters for these teams and for the payouts at the end of the year. And I think Joe Gibbs Racing has the guy behind the wheel that they want for the second year in a row now, putting their entry in the championship four on the owner side of things. Now, we did get word this week, I believe, that Phoenix was originally going to be a Justin Bonsignor race. Again, Bonsignor's been getting some Xfinity opportunities with Gibbs this year. But now that the 19 is in the Owners' Championship 4, Gibbs has confirmed that it will, in fact, be Almirola returning to the track where he won at in the spring. Little bit of controversy how he did that. Brandon, you and I remember that well with Tanner coming onto the show here in the spring. But Almirola proving that he was not afraid to do whatever it took to win that race in the spring. And got to think he's going to have similar feelings with an Owners' Championship on the line in a few weeks' time in Phoenix. So, first of all, Brandon, is this the right call to take Bonsignor out, put Almirola in, have him finish the season and compete for this owner's title? And do you think he can potentially steal it from the number 88 team driven by Connor Zilisch?
Yeah, as much as, first off, for Justin Bonsignor, as much as you'd like to see the wheel modified guy get the seat there for the remainder of the races, it does make sense. And I know how much you harp up the Constructors' Championship or the Owners' Championship here in NASCAR, and it's shown me how important it is, and for Coach Joe Gibbs to potentially get that. But Aric Almirola, he was very controversial there with his Phoenix victory earlier in the year, and this can be a place where he could go right back and take that away from one of the championship four in the Xfinity Series on the driver's side. I also think he took the win at Las Vegas with some controversial side drafting. That was a little more than a little tap. He very well could have put Zilisch up in the wall, I think, if he put a little more pressure on there, and it probably didn't mind which way it turned out. Thankfully, Connor Zilisch was able to hold his own and keep all four wheels headed straight. But the 4C, he turning right, it was a little feisty there. And it could have easily, in my opinion, turned out a much different way. But still another win for Aric Almirola post-Cup career in full time, and still showing us that he's got what it takes with top equipment. Yeah, it's the right call for the Owners' Championship for sure. But you hate to see Bonsignor miss things that were scheduled for him for the remainder of 2025 as well.
I know that it hasn't been the season that Justin would have wanted. He is still firmly in the modified championship fight. I believe he's second in points with one race to go, so maybe a little bit of a long shot. I think Austin Beers is the one that's leading the championship right now, if I remember correctly. But obviously we all know what he can do over in that series. It's been, and I think he could do some similar things still in trucks or Xfinity. Given the right equipment and right opportunity. And I think he's had that with Gibbs. It's just unfortunate that he hasn't gotten the results that we perhaps would have expected out of somebody like him. But I hope that he can come back next year and continue to do a few races. But obviously I think when you look at the situation here and how Eric's been running in that car this year in particular, and the fact that he's a veteran, he's got a lot more experience. Not to say that Justin Bonsignor isn't a very experienced racing driver in NASCAR competition, but it is very different what he has done compared to what Almirola has done for the last couple of decades now, when you think about it. And for him to be in this car and in this position once again, I will tell you, I feel the same way. And I know Matthew Owens brought up these comments about how Connor Zilisch has done this year. And even in defeat, this Saturday night here, you can tell he's driving the wheels off that thing. And, I have to say I agree with him. I don't expect him to light the world on fire to this extent in Cup next year, but I would not put winning a couple of races past him, particularly on road courses, as unbeatable as SVG has been. Connor has taken the fight to him in the Xfinity Series this year, and I wouldn't put it past him to do so in Cup in 2026. But at the same time, we are going to a track where Almirola won it just earlier this year. It is possible that, maybe it doesn't get as much press or attention because Zilisch will still win the drivers. But if this result happens in a few weeks' time at Phoenix, you will see a split championship there. And again, as as well as Aric has done in his limited starts this year, as well as Joe Gibbs Racing has done with that team, it does leave you wondering, should they really be the ones lifting the championship trophy at the end of the year after the season that Zilisch has had? And I think, people might forget this. We're up to 18 straight top fives now for Zilisch. The one race that he wasn't in the car after he got injured at Talladega, and that's a big return coming up for him this weekend, by the way. So we'll see how he handles this race here. But Kyle Larson got in that car and won off at Texas and drove that to a win as well. Doesn't count for playoff points or owners playoff ranking or anything like that, because it was a Cup driver racing in a lower division, so you don't get the benefits that you would if an Xfinity driver was in that car, or that Gibbs would get with Almirola in that car. He's running for points part-time, obviously not for the Drivers' Championship, but it all counts for the owners, obviously, when he's in the car. Not the case with Kyle Larson, but it does, you can say, extend that streak up to 19 straight top fives for that number 88 team this year, and it's been thoroughly impressive. And obviously Zilisch has had the predominant part in making that happen, although you have to give a shout out to Parker Kligerman as well for finishing the job at Daytona. So it would be very fitting as well if the 88 team won the Owners' Championship this year, because it has been a team effort when in the instances where Connor's had some injuries that he's had to deal with this year. The team has continued to step it up in his absence. And I think, we saw it once again here this weekend. And I think Connor has said this on occasion before. He has to remind himself that the fact that he can be disappointed with second or with third or with fifth or with a top five that isn't a win is indicative of the bar that they have set for themselves this year, and it's an incredibly high one.
Yeah, and the contract for Cup was announced relatively so early, like so long ago, it seems like now that we've already had that in the back of our mind. And yeah, stupid good is the correct adjective there, Matthew. Very good. 18 straight top fives. It doesn't even sound real. It does not. It sounds like a made-up stat, but it's all too true for the 88 this year in the Xfinity Series.